Hi, so I just finished a design video for the thing we're about to implement here, which will be the dual forge furnace. Before that, I kind of almost neglected that I wanted to do a video on the game development I'm working on. I've done a few, I haven't uploaded them all, but I figured I wanted to talk about this one because this one's kind of cool and it relates to tanks and tank crews. Now, for the game I'm working on a tower defense style of game. It's not exactly a tower defense, it's not exactly just a tank game. It's kind of a mix between a few different genres. Primarily it'll be a shooter is how it'll be played, with an option to use tower defense type of structures. But when thinking about the game and thinking about how we were going to program a lot of the aspects of it, including various things of it such as tank movement, attacks, how you're going to fight your enemies, but not just how you fight your enemies, but how the enemies are going to fight you. Now, we have tons and tons of ideas. After all, I've made some pretty awesome AIs in Minecraft in the past. And one of the things I was doing is I was watching a video. Let me go pop this up so I can give a shout out to this guy, because this guy's got awesome videos.
Being able to move.
So this guy's channel, he used to be a, I believe, a tank driver or commander for the British military, and now he makes YouTube videos where he talks about all kinds of different military tactics. This video was on tank tactics, mainly the M1 Abrams tank tactics. I kind of went across it after watching another one of his videos that talked about how you identify tanks at range, which is something I think is important for video games in general, is being able to understand why it is a tank looks the way it does. But I watched it with his, and he was talking about all the different jobs and roles and everything else that a tank crew has to do in order to be part of a tank combative combined force. So it's not just that one tank does a certain thing, another tank does a certain thing. All the tanks actually work together. They have like squad leaders, and they have battalion leaders, and so on and so on. But listening to all this, I realized instead of programming a singular AI, so just one master AI that runs a tank, I can program individual AIs that then work together inside of the tank to function as if it was an actual tank crew. This is being done for multiple reasons. One, I just think it's a cool concept. But on top of that, it does break down the amount of work required to make an AI function. I can focus on the one task at a time. So I can focus on just having the commander AI function, identify targets, identify goals, and everything else. To spend time programming him just so that he knows where he's going as a tank, what he's attacking as a tank, and what his wave commander, which is what we're going to use as the master AI for each match, wants him to do. And then I can then focus on the driver, and the driver will take orders from the commander AI. Not really orders, how it'll be programmed is the commander will have a goal, and the driver will go, okay, what's the commander's goal? His goal is to move to grid so-and-so, and the driver will focus on moving that. Not only will the driver focus on moving that, he will basically also do things like keep track of targets. And the only reason he keeps track of targets is he needs to know where the enemy is, what's the goal the commander wants to do. Does the commander want to only move towards a target, or is he attacking a target? If he's attacking a target, then the driver needs to understand that. So that way, if you have forward-facing only weapons, the driver will angle the forward-facing only weapons. And of course, the gunner's job is just to shoot things. He will be assigned a primary target by the commander, but if he can't see the primary target, he'll figure out his own targets as well. The cool thing about programming it this way is I can have multiple gunners on a vehicle. So we say we have a tank that has one main cannon and 3 machine guns on it. All 3 machine guns can have their own gunners, and then of course you could have other things. Now, additionally, people going like, how many tank crew guys will we have in the enemy tanks? The tanks are robotic tanks that we will be fighting. So essentially you'll have an infinite crew is what you'll have. So as many weapons as we have, as many crews we have. This will work really, really well, and it actually provides some pretty cool behavioral logic. Is that we can change out the gunners to match the weapons, so we can have different behaviors for each gunner. We can tweak the gunner behaviors, so instead of changing out an entire AI per unit or having tweaking variables in the AIs, we can go, okay, we want to use a less accurate AI or a more accurate AI, and instead of changing out like the whole thing, we only change out individual parts. Same for the driver, same for the commander. We can change out individual pieces without changing the entire unit. This also makes implementing different units even easier, because after all, the tank game we're making, it's based between World War I and World War II. It's in the scenario where World War I didn't quite end and it kept going, so you're starting to see World War II technology in a World War I environment. But all the tanks we're going to be implementing are going to be a mix of a lot of different technologies, both futuristic, non-futuristic, old school, like really weird designs. None of them are going to be real tanks. They're going to be based off of real tanks, of course. We're going to use a lot of realistic behavioral for it. But you'll see really strange things like a tank maybe with 6 turrets or something, or a giant Goliath cannon, or something that looks like it came out of a medieval siege scene. You'll have a whole bunch of bizarre stuff mixed in with all the more conventional vehicles. So we'll have a lot of conventional vehicles as well. That's part of the reason why I was like popping up this, so you can see not only the crews but some of the tanks they were driving. Like of course you got the movie Fury. We're going to do tanks that are similar to the Fury. I want to put a lot of the iconic style of tanks in there, so I want to do the Sherman, the KV, the Maz, the Tigers, stuff like that. But they'll be greatly modified to fit our game. Anyways, this has just been a short video where I'm talking about this to kind of just tell you that I am working on stuff. And I will make more of these videos showing off the game itself, some of the gameplay, and more talk about theoretics and how we're going to implement things in the future.